Hello out there. We're on the air. Good morning, everybody. I was going to start the show with some Deadpool this morning, but I'm not allowed to, apparently. That's the world we're in. If I use somebody else's song on my show, my income gets cut off. So part of my income gets cut off. That's the world we're in, folks. I thought I'd be recovered by today, but listening to myself talk, I guess I'm not. It's kind of like going to the gym, and then you got to wait 2 days till you're really sore. It's like getting home from a golf trip, and you got to wait 2 days until you're really tired and hungover. So have a good day, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Okay, we got too much to talk about. I almost called in sick today, but there's way too much going on. Maybe we could just do our own little sing-along of Let the Bodies Hit the Floor. Let the bodies hit the flow. Let the bodies hit the flow. Let the bodies hit the flow. We got to keep it weird here, folks. We have to. That's what they're accusing us of being right now. Weird. But little do they know, we welcome that. You have to be weird. And I want to start the show with something along those lines. Okay, let's pause this. So the show today is called Let the Sats Hit the Flow. And we got a comment in YouTube from one of our Bitcoin journeymen already. I love the show title today. Yeah, sometimes things just work out when you don't really expect them to. But that one came to me late last night. It was a late night again. Bridge was on the road yesterday and didn't get home until 11. And then, of course, Arnie goes batshit when she gets home, and then nobody sleeps for the next 2 hours. So that's where we are today. Anyways, let's get to this here. I want to show this video to start the show. This is dedicated to all the weirdos out there, like me, like you. Let's watch it.
The more people tell you it's not possible, that it can't be done, the more you should be absolutely determined to prove them wrong. Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. Relish the opportunity to be an outsider. Embrace that label. Being an outsider is fine. Embrace the label, because it's the outsiders who change the world and who make a real and lasting difference.
There you go. Good way to start the show today. Embrace the label of being weird, of being an outsider. I think you have to be a little bit weird. Oh, what the heck's happening on my screen here? Confetti just hit the... Oh, I think I know why. Okay, well, we got Zap.stream running, it looks like. Letha's over there. Adrian's over there as well. And RJ. Good morning to Zap.stream. Good to see you. I want to tell a little bit of a story about Zap.stream. Quick one. I posted about it last night, but it was pretty late, so I don't think too many people saw it. But here's what happened last night. We did our weekly golf show. We couldn't do it on Sunday night. One of the guys didn't have internet. He's moving into a new house. So we had to push it back to last night. And for the we've been doing it for about 3 years now. And we're on, I think, episode 177 or 78, whatever it is. Long time. We've been doing it on YouTube and on Twitter since then. And for 3 years, we've amassed a decent, I mean, we have our Instagram. It's just kind of a compliment to our golf company that we have. So anyways, we haven't made a dime from YouTube, from Spotify, from Twitter in that amount of time. And so Twitter changed their rules so that you have to be verified on there now to live stream. So it's kind of unfortunate because we were actually getting about 150 to 200 viewers each time on Twitter. So anyways, I went to put it onto Twitter last night and said, no, you can't do that without a verified account. So I switched the stream to be on Zap.stream just because we got three streams that we can do. So I had 2 on YouTube and 1 on Zap.stream now because one opened up from Twitter. So I put it on there. There was about 5 or 6 people watching on Zap.stream, nothing crazy. But somebody sent in 2,100 sats. Just an anonymous person sent in 2,100 sats and said, you can't do this on Twitter. So I thought that was pretty interesting. After we made more money in one show on Zap.stream than we had in the past 177 episodes. So I thought that was pretty cool, just to kind of show where we are right now and how filthy the old system is in terms of just like you could put so much effort into something, so many hours into something, they don't give you anything in return for that. Even though they're making ads, you're keeping people on their platform, but they don't give you a cent for that. Whereas Zap.stream, one show, 2,100 sats. So I thought that was I wanted to share that because I think that's just an indication of kind of where we're going. And I think that it's only a matter of time before other people figure that out and people start moving to NOSTR, people start moving to Zap.stream because it just makes sense. And people usually do, for the most part, people usually do what makes sense. So it's only a matter of time until I see it. So if you're on NOSTR, if you're on platforms like that, Zap.stream, at this stage, then you're in a pretty good place. I see Ballsy Golf over in the Zap.stream. Good morning. And we got a couple folks in the YouTube chat as well. Adrian's over there. Ian, Deplorable Nerf Herder, and Hogan. Ben Hogan's in the chat. Good morning, everybody. All right, so we started with the Outsider's quote. Let's check on the metrics today and see what's going on in the Bitcoin network. Look at that. Look at that. So we're currently sitting at block height 854,662. The fees, 3 sats per rebyte. Let me say that again, 3 sats per rebyte. It's been low for a while, but this is the lowest it's been, I think. I don't think I've seen a 3 yet. So we had an ant pool mine that block. What'd they get for that? They got the subsidy of 3.125 Bitcoin that every single miner gets when they hit a block. And they got 0.034 in fees. Oof. Tough time to be a miner right now. That's for sure. Tough time to be a miner. They made $2,000 off the fees. Oh well. Sucks to be ant pool, I guess. They only win 30 blocks every day or more. What else do we got here? We have the price. I kind of missed a few of these today, but we'll do our best. The price today, $66,760 US dollars. Tell me this. The president of the most influential country on earth comes out and announces that they're going to start holding Bitcoin on their treasury. What do they call it? Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. Comes out and announces that on the weekend. What does the price do? Drops. Why wouldn't it? 66,000 bucks. But last year you could have got a Bitcoin for 29,168 US dollars. So we're still doing okay. And look at this, 2020, 4 years ago, you could have got one for 11,110 US dollars. But the reason that's relevant is because for the last, I don't know how many days, this number's kind of been 9,000 bucks. 9,500, 9,500, 9,500, 9,100, 9,100. So 4 years ago today, that's the one we really need to pay attention to because that was the last time that Bitcoin halved, 2020. And so it looked like back in 2020, this is when it started making a move. So are we in for something? I don't know. This one's a little bit different than last time. We had an all-time high before the halving. We also have the ETFs now in the house. So it's a little bit different, but Pretty close. Rick says, I embrace the weirdness by smashing the like. Yeah, let's check on that. I also forgot to tell NOSTR that we're live. So I think we're going to have to skip that today. Or are we? Maybe I'll do it discreetly here. But it looks like we've had about, once again, half the people like the video today. How come? What's wrong with the other half of you? Got broken thumbs? Okay, let me just share this quickly. Join us for some Bitcoin chat. We got lots to talk about today. Let's start with a piece of news, though. Where is this? Let's start with a piece of news. This one, I did see a couple things yesterday. We're not going to have time to share them all because I do have some things that I want to talk about as well. Some original content, you might say. But first of all, the new Bitcoin movie's out. So I don't know if you've had time to check it out yet. I have not, but I want to just point it out to everybody out there just in case you hadn't heard. But the Bitcoin movie, there's now a movie about Bitcoin, hour and a half long. It's on YouTube. I think it was, who produced it? Swan, maybe? Let me get this right. And what's it called? I should have the facts before I start sharing things. Thank God for Bitcoin, I think. God Bless Bitcoin. I had it pretty close. God Bless Bitcoin by Swan Bitcoin. Once again, tough news from Swan last week as they laid off a bunch of their employees and announced that they're shutting down their mining operations. As mentioned, it is a pretty difficult time to be a Bitcoin miner right now. The hash price is near an all-time low. And the hash price is basically how much hash power is in the network, how many people are plugged into the network, divided by the price of Bitcoin. So there's lots of hash. The price is low. They're not making a whole lot on fees. And when the hash is high, that means there's lots of competition. There's more people plugged into the network and there's more competition. So the price, the hash price is low. All right, so there it is right there. God bless Bitcoin. We're going to watch the whole thing right now. No, I do actually want to watch it, though, tonight, hopefully. Maybe I'll have a family movie night about Bitcoin. That's a question for you. That's a question for the chat this morning. Is your significant other a Bitcoiner? Yes, no, kind of. Hates it, loves it, indifferent to it. Let me hear. Let me hear what you got. I would say mine is definitely a Bitcoiner. She wasn't before, but we've been buying, we've been putting money into Bitcoin for every week pretty much since we started dating. I was a pretty early Bitcoin advocate in the relationship, but we built up a pretty nice fund because we were doing it through the times where Bitcoin was about $15,000. So we've obviously been getting less sats for the amount of fiat that we've been contributing to the fund, but I think it's a good idea. I don't know what we'll use it for. It's kind of our own little strategic Bitcoin reserve. So let's see what's going on. What the heck's going on here? I have too many tabs open as always. Daddy-O's in the chat over on Zapstream. And I see another one, but I can't see the name. We got quite a few viewers in Zapstream today. Good to see you. Craig says, significant other, yes, orange pilled, but not a white paper reader. Yeah, I would say the same. She gets Bitcoin, she holds some Bitcoin, but definitely not as much of a weirdo as me. Morning, Parker. Good morning, Matt. Be clever, be good, stay weird. All right, second part of news here that I want to talk about was Venezuela. Some shit going on there right now. But I'll let you take a look into that. But the one thing I want to tell you today is that if you're on Twitter, you're not going to see a whole lot. What I would recommend here, let me put this up. I'm going to bring it up on screen, actually. If this isn't a boost for you to get NOSTR today, if you've been somebody who's been putting it off and off, let today be the day. If you're on Apple, if you got the App Store, download Damus, DAMUS. If you're on Android, download Amethyst from the Google Play Store. Set up an account. It takes you 2 seconds. You don't have to put in any information, your name, phone number, email, nothing. They generate a public key and a private key that's like your username and password. And you can go on there and you can find this guy. He's in Venezuela. I'm just going to track him down here. Make sure I get the right one. His name is Malos. Malos 10. Should we show any of these videos? I don't know. I don't really want to get kicked off of YouTube today. Like it's nuts. They're tearing down statues. They're rioting. There's people dying. And this guy's posting kind of all the stuff you wouldn't see anywhere else. So let me bring this up here. You would not see this on Facebook. You would not see this on Twitter even. But this is the profile here that I want you to check out. Malos 10. So how do I share this? Copy user public key. I'm going to put this in the Zap.stream chat if anybody's in there. Or not if anybody's in there, but if anybody wants to check him out. So he's given a real behind the scenes, the actual story of what's happening in Venezuela right now. So if people are unfamiliar with that, they had an election on, I think, Sunday night. And it was very obvious, just like here in North America, that their candidate, their dictator, did not win, but they had a sudden boost of votes at 3 a.m, just like the US. Funny how that happens. I don't know why this is on the screen. I don't need to be sharing me twice. Funny how that happens. So anyways, they're tearing down statues. They're ripping down his posters. They're rioting. It'll be interesting to see what comes of it. One of the posts on here, let me find it here. I think it was from last night. Man, he shared a lot. There's a lot of videos on here. I don't know if he slept in the last 2 days. But where was the post here that okay, let's just look at this quickly. I'm not going to share it. I don't know if you'll have sound or not. It doesn't really matter. But this is Chavez statue. I think Chavez was the old dictator, and there's another one now. But you can see here the popular notes on the side. It says, I don't want to publish the video of death, but the world needs to know. So that's tearing down some statues. Where's the other? This was the post. It says, I already feel the riots are crossing the not turning back point. So many dead, and this will not be for nothing. Pretty crazy. So check him out on NOSTR. That's the beauty of NOSTR. I watched a panel yesterday of, I think it was Odell, Will from Damus, and American Hodl. They were talking about NOSTR at the Bitcoin conference. And they were talking about exactly what I've been talking about for the last little while, is that NOSTR is like the information version of Bitcoin. I mean, money is just information. It's just a ledger. That's how we keep track of who owes what, who has what. It's just a ledger. But NOSTR is the Bitcoin version of information because of the relays, because of how it's all, it's uncensorable. You cannot be censored on NOSTR. So that's why I think over these next few months, when we see things like this happening and they get banned from Twitter, they get banned from Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, this is where we're going to find stuff. NOSTR. So even if you don't have anything to post, if you're not there yet in your Bitcoin journey, I would consider getting an account just to follow what's really happening in the world, because this is where we're going to see it. It's not going to be on our usual social media platforms, as much as everybody likes to think that, Elon's this big freedom advocate, it's not going to be on there. So check him out on NOSTR. I want to give him a shout out because he's doing some great work over there, and not easy work either. I know that he's not getting all these videos or any of them, but he's the one sharing it to the world. So it's a scary place to be, I think, in those countries. So I'm really surprised that they haven't cut off the internet there yet. It's probably coming. Came and said, Zap.stream not working for me. That's interesting. Seems like a few people in there, so it must be working still, but that's part of being early. We'll see. Ian says 132% of Venezuelans voted. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, that sounds a lot like what? Arizona? What was the other state that had a ton of mysterious voters? It's pretty sad, and I'm really hoping that we have a somewhat fair election. I don't know. This is the quote I like to talk about is voting is like the equivalent of voting is the adult version of writing a letter to Santa. And I think that's true in a lot of ways. People get pretty wrapped up in the politics stuff, but I think for the most part, it doesn't really matter, which is unfortunate. But I do think that we're heading towards a place where it will matter and people can verify their votes. We have the ability now to do it. Technology's already here. We just have to figure out a way to do it. Sorry, I missed this chat from before. What the hell is a reprobate? Good morning, reprobates. I don't know what that means, but it's pretty good. Okay, and the next part I wanted to share here was what? There's another piece of news. I'm kind of just going to piece things together here. I have two main things I want to talk about, but there's a few things in between that we should discuss as well. Here we go. Speaking of governments not acting in our best interests, this is from Bitcoin News, sponsor of the show. Once again, I haven't given a shout out to Bitcoin News for a couple episodes now, so I should today. It's where I get all my news on Twitter, on X, whatever you're calling it. Bitcoin News. Ever since I started following them 6 months ago, they're very consistent. They don't have they must have a few people working there now, because there hasn't been a day where they're not sharing at least 20, 30 pieces of news in the morning about Bitcoin. So shout out to them. Not only are they a sponsor of the show, but they provide the show with a lot of content. So thank you, Bitcoin News. Check out their YouTube. They got a couple, I think, live ones every week and a couple shows like this that they do with Luke, I believe his name is over there. But this is the news. Starting in 2025, Australia will begin taxing unrealized gains in employee pension fund accounts with balances over 3 million Australian dollars or 2 million US dollars. So Australia will begin taxing unrealized gains in employee pension fund accounts. That's how desperate they are right now. That's how desperate. Because you have to look at this a couple different ways. First of all, an employee pension fund, that's pretty much an extension of their scam that they got going on, the pension funds. Because every week, not only do they take half of your income for taxes and whatever else they got going on, carbon tax, I don't know. I don't get a paycheck anymore. But you also pay into a pension, and that's just funding their system. That's all that's doing. It's keeping their system going. You're paying now for the people who are retired, and you're probably not going to have access to that. So if you're somebody, especially in your 20s, 30s, 40s, still paying into a pension, find a way to get out of it, or find a way at least to allocate it to companies associated with Bitcoin. MicroStrategy, Semlar, Bitcoin ETF, a mining company. I wouldn't suggest it, but mining company. So that's one part of it, is the scam that pensions are. But the second part there, and this is what's crazy that's happening right now, because something similar in Canada as well is going on with the unrealized gains. So think about what an unrealized gain is. Think about why you have a gain in the world right now. So let's say you bought a stock, or you've been paying into a pension that bought stocks for the last 20 years. And some of those stocks you bought at a low price, they've gone up to a high price. Some of them have become more valuable. Some of them have just gone up with the market because there's so much inflation in the world. So your investments have gone up, barely keeping up with inflation. Most aren't right now. So they've gone up. And the reason they've gone up is because the government's printed so much money. It's not like these companies are doing extremely well right now and very valuable. There's like 3 of them that are in the world. So these pensions, these assets, these houses have gone up in value for one reason only, because the government printed too much money. And because the government printed too much money, they're actually going to tax you now, not only on the realized gains, when you cash out, when you sell your stocks, when you sell your rental house, they're taxing you on the realized, but now they're going after the unrealized amounts that you don't even have in your bank account. So you got $3 million in your pension fund, unrealized. You haven't cashed those out, but you're gonna have to start paying tax on that without even selling the asset and having the proceeds of the sale in your bank account. You're gonna be paying tax for that. It's nuts. It's nuts what's happening, and it's nuts that most people are completely fucking oblivious to it. And I apologize for the swearing. But man, what a stupid world. Okay, Craig says, anybody have the issue with Zapdos stream where the stream suddenly jumps back to an earlier part and repeats what you already heard? Like it's longer live. Happens quite a bit. Well, that's not good. Hopefully, whenever things aren't working, just like the old reset button, I just like to hit the refresh. Usually works. I'm sure Craig's tried that, but if not, give that a spin. Yeah, RJ says taxing unrealized gains is obviously crazy. I can't believe anybody is seriously talking about it. It's nuts. It's crazy to me that people aren't talking about it. People aren't pulling to Venezuela and doing something about what's happening here. Bitcoin Boomer says, glass half full, taxing unrealized gains should drive more. I'm not sure what it would drive more of, though. That's the thing for me. Because when you're taxing people's unrealized gains, you're taking money from their account that they don't even have yet. They have not got the proceeds from the sale of their transactions. Number one, you should not be taxed on that, because the only reason that these assets are going up in value is because the government's printing too much money. So they're going further into debt. They have larger interest obligations. They require more taxes. And so they're printing more, inflating the assets, and they're taxing you on that increase. A rental house here in Manitoba, or a cabin, because here you get one piece of property as your principal residence, which I'm sure they'll come after too. They've already been talking about it. But so they inflate the price of your home by printing too much money, and then they charge you tax on that. So not only are you paying the tax of inflation, everything costs more, but you're paying for the would-be increase, the only thing that is actually saving you in these times. Realized and unrealized now. Oh, should drive more people to Bitcoin. I got you. Yeah. No, that's a great point. And I think that Bitcoin, honestly, not only is Bitcoin a better option in terms of the pension fund, like I said, if you're 20, 30, 40, even 50 or 60, like, stop paying into your pension. All you're doing is funding the system further. You're keeping it alive. But if you have to, if you're locked into it, I get that. So just make sure that you're allocating your portfolio to Bitcoin related companies. But yes, you're right. And the best thing that you can do, I think, the beauty of Bitcoin is that the majority of people, especially at this stage, they're going to be using it as like a savings vehicle. It's a cash, but it's also a store of value. So it's the best place to store your wealth, because if you never plan on selling it, you never have to pay tax on it unless they start coming after the unrealized part. But that's where the non-KYC stuff will come in handy. But they don't want that. That's why they have the ETFs. That's why they're trying to KYC everybody and figure out how much Bitcoin they have, because that's probably their plan eventually, is to tax the unrealized gains. Imagine that. Imagine you go to Bitcoin because your government's printing too much money, and then they come out and say, actually, we're going to tax your unrealized Bitcoin gains. And the only reason the Bitcoin has gained is because we printed too much money, but you're going to pay tax on that. Completely backwards. All right. So we're 30 minutes in now. We haven't even done our Bitcoin giveaway yet. We didn't even look at the metrics. Oh yeah, we did. Too much going on in the world right now, but makes for an interesting daily show anyways, because if the world wasn't so crazy, we wouldn't have anything to talk about and prepare for. So this is the only figure on here that's accurate from the bottom part. So the Moose Jaw time today here in Canada, 1 Canadian dollar gets you 1,081 sats. And the Moose Jaw time, as we know, is sponsored by our friends over at Bitcoin Well, where we're going to head now, and we're going to give some free Bitcoin away. So get your phones out, get your thumbs ready. There's been some conspiracies in the chat lately that this is rigged. I think it was a joke, but either way, it's definitely not rigged. But what the heck? Oh God, I thought I had my password on the screen there. Some nervy things happen on a live show. Well, I was talking to somebody about the golf podcast that we do every week, and I told him that we did it live every week, and he's like, "Holy, that's pretty brave." And I was thinking, like, yeah, kind of, but it's a lot easier to talk about golf on a live show than it is to talk about money and politics, because I seem to go on a lot more rants on this podcast than on the golf one. Anyways, let's do this. So we got the winner of today is going to win the amount of sats that shows up on the screen here. So get your phones ready, get your Lightning wallets ready, point your phone at the screen, press send, and the first person or persons to scan this code is going to win some free Bitcoin today. So here we go. $500 sats up for grabs. This is why you want to make sure that you're actually live on the show and not behind. Because if you're a little bit behind, then you're going to be scanning this. Maybe that's why I think it was Daddio that said it was rigged yesterday. Maybe he's just a couple seconds behind everybody else, and he needs to catch up to the lives. Okay, so I'm thinking this has been claimed. Maybe I'll just double check for shits and gigs. I should give a couple shout outs too. I saw yesterday in Arnie's wallet that a couple people sent him some sats. So you know who you are. I don't know who you are, but he appreciates it. If he could, Arnie would be a Bitcoiner for sure. Where's Arnie today? Hey, bud. There's Arn. Sorry. Had him locked out here today. What a good boy. All right. So we're 35 minutes in here. What should we do? Maybe I'll talk for like 2 or 3 minutes and then we can switch. Did I miss anything here? Oh, the big news yesterday was that after Trump's announcement, the U.S. government moved their Silk Road Bitcoin, $2 billion worth. They moved it. I don't know if they moved it to an exchange or not. I wasn't entirely sure what happened there. But they moved 2 billion Bitcoin yesterday, 2 billion worth of Bitcoin. And they committed to another 1.7 billion to Ukraine. It's just the incompetence, the corruption. It's hard to even talk about it anymore, how bad it is. But look at this. We got a couple zaps over in the Zapdos stream. We got My Path to Fire over there. Zapped 121 sats. We got Daniel, 1,000 sats. Joined the 1,000 sat club. And we got Last Das, new face in the chat today. Says, I got the Moscow time story, but what's the Moose Jaw time about? So the Moose Jaw time is simply the Canadian version of that. So it's the exact same thing. How many Canadian dollars, how many sats one Canadian dollar will get you? That's the Moose Jaw time. Just because it starts with M, and I think most people are familiar with Moose Jaw. It's actually where Elon Musk's mom is from, I believe, Moose Jaw. Only a couple hours from here. And Last Das also, is it Last Das or Last Des? Zap 2.1 thousand sats. Thank you. That's what we love. That is what we love. Nerfherder says, I heard Coinbase. That makes sense. They haven't really announced that they're selling it, but it's pretty crazy that after Trump comes out with that announcement, they move pretty quickly to say, no, actually, you're not going to keep this Bitcoin. So anyways, a couple things on that. I mean, not surprising at all. When your government hates you, when you have absolute idiots running the show, these things are expected. I wouldn't expect anything different from them. The one thing I do expect is that Trump will probably go even harder on Bitcoin now after this happens. It would make sense. That's kind of Trump's personality. That if they actually sell these, he'll make much more of a point to get the Bitcoin, which is going to be good for us. Ian is out of here. Have a nice day, y'all. He must be from what, southern US? So somebody in the chat here, I can't see who it is. Let me just actually, let's close this off. Let's close off the YouTube channel show today. And I'm sorry, because the show is actually called Let the Sats Hit the Flow. And what we're going to be talking about on the show today is creating your own sats flow and the importance of that. Because everybody's feeling the pain right now. Everybody's trying to run from the inflation. Everybody's trying to put their energy, their savings into a vehicle that holds its value, which is Bitcoin. So everybody's kind of experiencing that individually, personally, but businesses are going to go through the exact same thing. And so I'm going to talk about the importance of not only just buying Bitcoin right now, but finding ways to earn Bitcoin. And to, if you have a business, creating your own Bitcoin, your strategic Bitcoin reserve, because it's the companies who do that are going to be the ones that are around. Because just like people, we can only pay so much for groceries. We can only pay so much for rent. And then we have to change things. So businesses are going to keep paying more and more and more for their inputs in fiat. And if they don't have a proper backing, a proper reserve of savings, they're going to vanish. Because think about that. As a business owner, you have your costs, your cost of goods, your cost of services, whatever that is. You have a cost with everything that you provide. And when those costs go up, you have to increase your prices with that. But there comes a point where the consumer on the other end can no longer afford to do that, can no longer afford to buy whatever you're selling. And so, like I said, it's only going to be the businesses that realize this and start not only buying Bitcoin and holding it on their balance sheet, but earning Bitcoin, earning sats. So we're talking about a sats flow today. And I also want to show a little video of Trump's speech. And I talked about it on yesterday's show in terms of John Trump. And I did a little bit more digging last night, and it was a little bit shocking what I found. So if you want to join us, this is what you can do. Number one, on the YouTube channel, it says join Bitcoin Journeyman, $3 a month. Then you go to the 88 Sats channel, the feed, and there's members only posts in there that I do every morning. with the full show uninterrupted, no ads on it, for $3 a month. So that's the most obvious choice. If you want a little bit more, you can join the Living the Future tier. Gets you access to the community, the Signal group chat. It's a little bit more money, but you get the same thing. So you can do that either one, or if you don't want to do either of those, I get it. And that's why I put every show for free for people who want it. People can't, don't have the means for it right now. I get it. But you can join us over on Zap.stream for free. So if you feel like supporting the show, if you want to join the community, you can choose one of the two options, first two, or you can just simply go over to Zap.stream. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about here, so we're going to keep things going. So thank you to everybody who's here in the YouTube chat today. But we're going to cut things off. So we'll see you on YouTube, or we'll see you on Zap.stream, or we'll see you tomorrow. So have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you then.